This is Residents in a Room, an official podcast of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, where we go behind the scenes to explore the world from the point of view of anesthesiology residents.
It felt like it was the most personalized ASA reach out that I have had.
What leadership tips do you have for us?
One of my big goals in communication is to provide the information that members want to hear in a way that they want to receive.
I think it was helpful to have a mentorship program available as a medical student.
Networking, education, and a fun experience. For any ASA conference I've been to, all three of those are consistently met.
Welcome to Residents in a Room, the podcast for residents by residents. I'm Dr. Alexi Maceis, a CA3 anesthesiology resident at Houston Methodist Hospital, and your host for today's episode. I am honored to be joined today by ASA's president, Dr. Patrick Guillaume. Dr. Guillaume is going to talk to us about the specialty and the society. We're excited to learn from him, and I am not alone. I am joined today by several fellow residents. Can you all introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Sonny Cotter. I'm a CA1 resident at the University of Colorado, and I serve as the president-elect for the American Society of Anesthesiologists Resident Component Governing Council.
My name is Courtney Board. I am a CA2 at Mayo Clinic in Florida, and I currently serve as the resident delegate from the ASA to the resident and fellow section of the American Medical Association.
I'm Andrew Ray. I am a CA2 resident at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. I serve as the alternate resident delegate for the American Society of Anesthesiologists for the American Medical Association Residents and Fellows section.
Well, let's get right into it then. Dr. Guillaume, it is exciting to have you on the show. We all know that you're the current ASA president. Can you tell us a little bit about your path, your role outside of ASA, and maybe something unexpected from your life, like your favorite hobby or something like that?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Maybe there is no greater opportunity than for the ASA president to have the opportunity to talk to residents and other physicians in training. So thanks for that opportunity to be here. I grew up in Central Texas, and my father was with Texas A&M University. He was the chair of the Department of Chemistry. So naturally, I went to Texas A&M undergrad, followed by a med school at Baylor College of Medicine. Left Texas to do my residency at the University of Pennsylvania, came back to Houston to do a fellowship in cardiac at the Texas Heart Institute. And I've been in private practice with an academic affiliation really for my entire career. And in fact, I've been at the same hospital facility for my entire career, although the anesthesia practice has changed over the years. I've been at the same place. And although I'm a cardiac trained anesthesiologist, it's sort of a long story, but my practice stopped doing cardiac after maybe my 6th or 7th year. And so my clinical practice has really been focused mainly on anesthesia for neurosurgery and liver transplantation. As far as my ASA path goes, maybe there are ASA presidents who had long time goals and plans to reach this role. But honestly, I was never that focused on where I wanted to go from an organized medicine standpoint. I basically just had fun with what I was doing. Very early in my career, I was simply looking to do more than just clinical work. And I got involved in the Texas Society of Anesthesiologists at the suggestion of a senior member in my practice. And Dr. Lamar Jackson had been a former ASA officer, in fact, a former Speaker of the House. And he encouraged me to get involved with the Texas Society. It turned out to be a fantastic decision. I made great lifelong friends, and I found that I really enjoyed working in organized medicine. And what I found is that, when you enjoy what you're doing, I guess it's easy to do a good job at it. And the reward for doing a good job is usually another job. And so I ended up serving in a lot of roles and leadership positions within the Texas Society, including the Texans president. And after I finished as TSA president, I continued to look for more opportunities. And so that's really when I started getting more involved in ASA. And I served in ASA, ASA PAC, the Anesthesia Quality Institute, the AQI, ended up serving on the boards of all three organizations. And again, wanted to do more. So I ran for ASA officer position as Vice Speaker of the House in 2016. And I've had the opportunity of serving some really great roles. including Speaker of the House and now presidency. On a personal level, my wife and I live in Houston. We have 2 grown daughters, both of whom were married and have generously provided us with 5 grandchildren, the last of whom was born a week ago. And outside of ASA, I like to fly fish for trout, although they don't always like to come to my fly line. And I really like music, especially live music. And and I like to play golf. But honestly, my current ASA gig is making it hard to play regularly and really negatively impacting my already mediocre golf game.
Thanks so much for sharing with us kind of your history, what got you involved in ASA, and a little bit about your personal life. I know I really enjoyed hearing about the fact that your granddaughter was just born last week. Congratulations. It's really exciting. So it seems like you've been in this role for a couple of months now. Is it what you expected, or has something surprised you along the way?
I wouldn't say it's surprising, but what is still remarkable is the breadth and depth of the activities of the role. It's extremely busy. It's busy in a good way, but it's every bit as busy as I thought it would be. So there's always an endless stream of things to do, from communicating with the staff about internal ASA issues, meeting with physician leaders and committee members about strategic, operational, financial, educational issues, etc. There's an endless stream of emails from members and others. And there's a constant request to submit editorial and opinion pieces to external publications like Becker's or other anesthesiology publications. Other things that take a significant amount of time is preparing the weekly Monday morning outreach, including the new videos, which we've incorporated that go into the MMO every week. We've also tried to increase our social media outreach. And of course, there's lots of communication, which occurs with component societies, international societies, other related organizations such as ASA PM, SPA, IARS, and our own foundations like the Wood Library Memorial, Wood Library Museum Foundation, FAIR, AQI. Also talk a lot with AMA. And by the way, I travel really almost every week. But don't misunderstand me. I'm not complaining about this. It's what I expected, and it's great to be busy in this way. I definitely love what I'm doing, and it's a real privilege to have the opportunity to serve the members.
Thanks, Dr. Yam. And I would agree. The videos that are coming out are great. Really been enjoying watching those. As a follow-up question, or just another question for you, wanted to ask kind of a 3-part question. What gives you hope about the specialty of anesthesiology? What are some of the brightest spots? And can you talk about where you see the future of the specialty going?
Well, those are very good questions. So first of all, I'm very optimistic about the future of the specialty, and for many reasons. But I would say that my 2 top reasons for optimism are the pipeline that I see of young physicians and also the future opportunities. So let me start with the pipeline. So I'm extremely excited about the number and the incredible quality of physicians in training that are entering our specialty. It is the largest group of trainees in the history of our specialty. And when you look at the qualifications, commitment, engagement of the physicians who are entering our specialty, it's remarkable. And in fact, of 2,200 available residency slots, about 40% of applicants are unable to match for anesthesiology spots. So that's something that speaks to the demand and the attractiveness of our specialty. I do see the demand for our services now and in the future continuing to be very high. And I see some great opportunities for our specialty to not only improve care and safety in the operating room, but also given the impact of new medications and new technologies like wearable monitors and AI, I also think that the specialty has an opportunity to expand our focus out of the OR and into perioperative medicine. As you're likely aware, post-operative mortality, that is death within 30 days of having an operation, is the 3rd leading cause of global mortality worldwide from all causes. And anesthesiologists, in my opinion, we have the unique skills and the opportunity to really lead this important area of medicine. And I see us advancing this initiative through our Center for Perioperative Medicine. And I also see anesthesiologists leveraging our expertise and efficiency and in scheduling to help improve throughput, not only in the OR, but in the out of OR procedural settings, the non-operating room areas. And this could certainly help alleviate our workforce challenges and also improve the bottom line for the hospitals and facilities that we partner with.
Thank you, Dr. Guillaume. On the flip side, what are some things that keep you up at night? What are the threats you see to our specialty?
Well, there are things that we continue to battle with. And I would say right up front, the biggest ones are payment and workforce. So payment, of course, in anesthesiology is bifurcated into government pay and private payers. And from the government standpoint, Medicare has underpaid all physicians for decades, and it's been particularly punitive to anesthesiologists. Big insurance also has taken many inappropriate and unwise actions which are affecting physician payment and patient access to care, including abuse of the Medicare Advantage system. So big insurance is refusing to pay for or limiting pay to sicker patients who naturally require more effort and more expertise. And they also continue to game the No Surprises Act in multiple ways, including slow paying physicians groups who win the arbitration process, and most recently, Anthem's proposal to cut payments to hospitals if the hospitals work with physicians who are out of network. This is what we feel is a direct end around to avoid the already legislated IDR process, the dispute resolution process. One of the other issues that I see, workforce demand. We're seeing an incredible increase in demand for anesthesia, partly due to the number of non-operating room anesthetizing locations. But at the same time, we're also seeing baby boomers who are cutting back on their hours or retiring. And we're trying to address this in several ways. First, we're working with our elected officials to attempt to increase the number of residency spots for anesthesiology. And you're seeing, not on the legislative level, but you're seeing in some creative, even private areas where the residency spots have been increasing on a year-over-year basis. We're also doing what we can to improve the efficiency of the OR and NORA scheduling. We're trying to encourage creation of flexible and creative physician work schedules to hopefully prolong the careers of senior anesthesiologists who are thinking about retiring. Perhaps by offering these new and innovative schedules, we can extend their useful careers. And then lastly, we're trying to address, and we have addressed, a lot of work-life balance issues and physician wellness via our Committee on Physician Wellness, as well as Safe Haven. And we've had statements on harassment, incivility, and disrespect. These issues of work-life balance and physician wellness are very important to ASA, and we put a lot of effort and emphasis on those.
It sounds like there's a lot going on in the field of anesthesiology. So a question for you, Dr. Guillaume, as someone who's been in the field for so long and been staying informed and up to date, what's the best way someone can stay informed about these issues that do affect our specialty?
That's a good question. So there's multiple ways. I'm going to give you a few, but I think the thing that's important for us is to understand the ways that our members, what information they want to hear and in the way that they want to hear it. So on an official basis, I would say that it's important for anesthesiologists to stay involved with their state component and with ASA, because some of these issues that happen on the state level overlap with national issues, but some of them are more state specific. And all of these issues, state or federal, require the active involvement and advocacy of members in the states and nationally. So staying involved with your state component, and on ASA, you can follow me on the weekly MMO and the videos that we do regularly, and also on social media. My handle on social media is PGIAM005, and you can follow ASA HQ on social media. My email is president@asahq.org. And the other thing that I would recommend is trying to attend some of our big meetings. our annual meeting, which will be this coming October in San Diego. Terrific meeting, all kinds of activities, and in a wonderful site of San Diego. The legislative conference will be in the spring. That's our advocacy meeting where we talk about federal issues and also have the visits to Capitol Hill. That Washington Legislative Conference will be in the spring. And ASA Advance is right around the corner in January 2026. ASA Advance is not a clinical meeting. Rather, it's a business meeting focusing on the business of anesthesia. And this year, ASA Advance will be in Las Vegas in January.
Wow, it really blows my mind sometimes just how much ASA really puts together for us in order to kind of stay up to date. And I appreciate you going through all of those different ways for residents, for incoming young physicians to kind of get involved and stay involved. So kind of a follow-up question for your particular term. Do you have any priorities or goals that you hope to accomplish in your term as president? And if so, is there a specific initiative that you're really excited about? And how's that coming together so far?
So thanks for asking. It's a good question. One of my biggest priorities this year is communication. Because after being in ASA for so many years, I'm amazed at the amount of things that we're doing to help members, help the profession, and help our specialty. But I'm equally amazed when sometimes I go out in the field to my practice or to state components or affiliated organizations, and they're not always aware of the things which we are doing. So one of my big goals in communication is to provide the information that members want to hear in a way that they want to receive it. And one of the ways that we're doing this is we're trying to highlight the advocacy issues which we're supporting. And those include physician-led care, achieving proper payment for our professional services, and that's through governmental payers and private payers. We're trying to address workforce concerns, which we talked a little bit about, and we're battling what we feel are the abuses of big insurance, including Medicare Advantage upcoding, prior authorization, the No Surprises Act, and the associated independent dispute resolution process. But my agenda has been not to only do these things, which ASA can do and is doing quite well, but to be my best at being a good communicator so that all of our members know what ASA is doing for them. With the team, we've made some significant changes to the Monday morning outreach. We've shortened the overall length of the electronic document, but I think more importantly, we've tried to put it in a format which has been more highlighted and highly readable, because we know that most anesthesiologists are time constrained. And so we've tried to create a format which works well for you, and hopefully you're able to view it in your downtime, in between cases, in your brief time that you have at home. And we've also added some short video with each MMO, and we tried to be more active on social media, also the video content. So the hope is that these communications methods, some of them new, are reaching our members and helping them understand how ASA is really helping them and helping the specialty.
Great. I feel like this next question kind of piggybacks well off of your response to the last one. How important is the National Society membership for our cohort and for early career anesthesiologists in particular? And what resources does the ASA offer young anesthesiologists?
It's critical. Our relationship with especially young career anesthesiologists is so vital for the future vibrancy of the specialty. My view is that young anesthesiologists have made, of course, a huge investment in time, money, and effort to reach this stage. And being a member of ASA says that I'm committed to protecting my profession and my investment and my patients. And ASA membership should be considered mandatory for anesthesiologists of all ages and career stages, because ASA is the voice of advocacy and education and scientific discovery. And ASA is the organization of anesthesiologists and completely dedicated to the needs of our members, our patients, and our specialty. And we are the voice, the best voice to address mission critical concerns, such as the things we've been talking about: payment, scope of practice, workforce, and many more. And when we talk specifically about young physicians, we're providing specific educational resources, such as anesthesia toolbox, practice standards, guidelines, advisories, the world-class anesthesiology journal, which is tied for first place, as it usually is, or first place by itself in terms of citation factor, and the ASA monitor with the new editor-in-chief, Tom Vetter, who is keeping that an incredible publication. For young physicians, we've also created a mentoring program to help young anesthesiologists connect with those other anesthesiologists who are willing and able to share tips and useful information. As we've discussed, we've also addressed physician well-being through our Committee on Well-being and our Safe Haven program, which allows physicians and their families to access a myriad of resources, including mental health and financial counseling, and all in a completely confidential manner. And that's one thing that I'd like to mention about the Safe Haven program is that some large practices and departments also have these kinds of wellness programs, but sometimes anesthesiologists are reluctant to join those employer-sponsored or department-sponsored programs because of an inappropriate, but because of reluctance that their employer might understand that they're seeking these resources. But while going through ASA's Safe Haven program, our members can be assured that the program is completely confidential. Not only will one's employer or department never know who's involved or not, ASA itself has no connection to the program other than helping sponsor it. We do not know anything about who is in the program. We only have large generic numbers of people. So it's a great program, and I recommend Safe Haven. Some of the other things that we do for young physicians, we provide best-in-class virtual education and also some of the world's best anesthesia meetings, including our annual meeting in San Diego, ASA Advance in Las Vegas, and the Washington Legislative Conference.
It really is incredible just how much ASA does for us. For some of our listeners, Dr. Guillaume, are potential prospective leaders down the road. And for those of us who are interested in getting more involved in leadership or potentially following in your shoes, what leadership tips do you have for us? Is there anything or any advice that you want us to know or do as we set out on our paths? And what advice were you given as a young anesthesiologist? What resources or activities were helpful to you early in your career?
Oh, that's a great question. So what I would say is you folks have gone through an extensive period of medical training, but medical training in itself is not sufficient to become a physician leader. So what kinds of skills do you need to acquire to go from being a physician to becoming a physician leader? So I would say there's several, and you need to be intentional about it. One of the things which you need to be intentional about is business education. As my good friend from University of Texas Medical Branch, Dr. Abelish says, healing is an art, medicine is a science, healthcare is a business. And he is correct, because if you seek to become a physician leader, you must become knowledgeable not about the science of anesthesia. I know you folks are very skilled in that, but you must become knowledgeable about the business of healthcare. And this means that you have to acquire knowledge about the economic, political, social aspects of healthcare. That's one. Second, learning presentation skills is mandatory. Everything in healthcare is a discussion and a negotiation. And if you want to be a physician leader, you will be required to speak, advocate, negotiate, and educate many disparate groups and constituencies. How do you get these presentation skills? I'll tell you how I got a lot of them in the early days is I went through ASA's LSTP. That's the Leadership Spokesperson Training Program. This is a freebie. It's a benefit which ASA offers on-site, in person, before many of the major meetings, including, I'm going to guess now, the annual meeting, I think, the legislative conference, and others. And it's about a 2-hour in-person course where the experts in communication will teach you very valuable and useful ways to communicate with different constituencies. like print media, podcasts, video interviews. And more than just showing you that, they'll videotape you, which is sort of eye-opening because you get to see how you look versus how you think you look, which is kind of a shock at first, but very valuable when you're learning presentation skills. So I think presentation skills is number two. I think a third thing which is necessary to go from being a physician to becoming a physician leader is mentorship. It's very helpful to find role models, mentors, and sponsors who will help you along the way. Because for one thing, the pathway to medical society leadership or at a greater level than that, it's not always written down. In fact, it's not written down, and it's not always immediately obvious. So to have the opportunity to interact with someone who's been down that pathway and understands what the potential next steps could be, probably invaluable. My pathway to ASA, of course, came through my state component society. And when I got involved early in TSA, it wasn't because of any specific pathway. It was because I found it enjoyable, immensely rewarding, and a lot of fun. Years ago, I got to work with a young liver transplant surgeon. He was in charge of our liver transplant program. But the most interesting thing to me is that he was a low-level but professional baseball player in his early life. And I thought that was really cool. And so I asked him, what was it like being a professional baseball player? And he paused and he told me, well, said the most exciting thing about it is you discovered that every person on your professional team was the best person off of their college team. And I found that that's what's been really rewarding for me in working at the state level and now at the national level. I get to work with people who are all-stars, who are superb in their practice, in their facilities, and then out of love for the profession, got more involved at the state and national level. And that's what's been so remarkably fun for me, and I think rewarding for the specialty. So I would say to you that if you want to get involved with leadership, try to do these things, but try to have fun with it along the way. I'd like to ask you a few questions. So I would ask the residents here, of the many things that ASA is doing, what do you particularly find valuable? And are there other things that we could be emphasizing more, or new things that we could be doing that maybe we haven't seen yet?
So I'll start off with this one because one thing that I've seen recently, I really got to give you credit for, Dr. Guillaume, is I've seen you've been posting on social media these short videos where you're explaining something. And I think in this day and age, especially the younger generation, we are so absorbed, by our phones, by all these quick bites of information. So when I saw that, it felt like it was the most personalized ASA reach out that I have had. And I think it's a fantastic idea that you've been going through on the social media with these small bite-sized videos. And I think social media is definitely the way to go, especially with this younger generation, because as they keep on training, they're only going to get more and more likely to be swayed by social media.
At ASA, we're very focused on how our members perceive ASA. And one of the things which we're focused on, and a lot of organizations, big organizations focus on, is Net Promoter Score. So Net Promoter Score, they go out and ask members, how valuable is it? How is the organization doing for us? And, we're doing okay. But I feel like we could be doing even better. And I feel like maybe it's not just what we're doing or what we're not doing, but maybe members don't have the opportunity to always realize the incredible things we are doing for them. So through these different methods of communication and media, I'm hoping that the members will have a better understanding of the things which ASA is involved in on their behalf. Another question I'd have for you folks is, about 2 or 3 years ago, we started with an ad hoc mentoring program. It looked like it was going to be something valuable. And so we rolled it into a standing mentoring program. It's become quite popular. I believe we have over 800 pairs of mentors in the mentoring program. I was wondering if you folks have heard about it, and if so, what your opinion was of the mentoring program.
I actually have heard about the program before, and coming from someone who was involved also in medical school, I think it was helpful to have a mentorship program available as a medical student with other residents, and now as a young physician to have that available with other physicians, I think is really fantastic. I think mentorship is something that's so invaluable, and to have that kind of every step of the way along this journey is really important. And so I applaud the ASA for not only starting that, but maintaining that. I think it's really great and something that I would love to see continue kind of further on down the line as well.
From our perspective, we've seen two interesting positive aspects of the mentoring program. One is that the young physicians seem to like the near peer part of the mentoring program. In other words, they seem to be looking for a mentor who is maybe 2 to 5 years ahead of where they currently are. So the near peer is one part. But the other part that sort of surprised me is the reverse mentoring aspect, where sometimes we'll get a young person teamed up with a senior anesthesiologist and, of course, get that great interaction. But what we find is that the senior anesthesiologists actually end up probably learning more from the newer anesthesiologist than the reverse. So the senior anesthesiologist gets to learn about maybe new methods of communication or proper use of social media or some other aspects which our younger members are more facile. So we loved seeing both of those aspects and more of the mentoring program. Are there some aspects that ASA could be emphasizing and doing differently to help younger members or newer members or those who are considering entering the profession that you see us not doing as much now?
I've got a point to make on that. I think that the ASA is doing incredible work. And just for a little bit of context, I was recently serving as the secretary for the resident component and now president-elect. And one thing that we've talked about kind of just in a couple of meetings that comes up is as a barrier to entry for some members across the country is price of the meetings. I think the meetings are so useful, helpful in so many different ways. And it's an opportunity I wish all residents would have the ability to go to. I feel like big limitations are one, price, and then also, of course, nothing the ASA can do about is time off from your program. But specific to price, I wanted to ask you if that's something being considered or talked about, and if there's any future trajectory on lowering prices there.
Thanks for that question. We look at it all the time. And, unfortunately, we see prices increasing to us fairly regularly from the venues, from the vendors, from the food, from a variety of sources. So we're trying to hold the line on those. And we're also trying to provide the best value that we can. We're saying if you're able to take the time from your regular life or from your educational program, the opportunity to come here to one of our big meetings, we want to make it absolutely worthwhile to you. So we want to offer world-class education, networking experiences, and really a fun setting so that you'll want to come back year after year. And while we're trying to hold the line on prices, if we can increase the value, if we can increase the experience for you, then we hope that the value equation will be there, that you'll want to come over and over again. And we're looking at opportunities to try to bundle experiences together so that it is a good pricing model. And as you know, in the first 3 years after training, we've instituted several years ago now the early career membership program, where physicians who are finishing their training and entering the real world can pay one low price to have the experience of all of the great ASA offerings, many of the great offerings over their first 3 years for a low price. We hope that this will give them the opportunity in that transition from training to real life to sample a lot of the best things which ASA has, and will help make it emphasize for them how important it is to be involved in your National Society of Anesthesiologists and all the incredible networking, education, guidelines, research, education, which we have, which are really invaluable for all anesthesiologists.
Yeah, I really appreciate that response. And I think the three things you mentioned there, networking, education, and a fun experience, for any ASA conference I've been to, all three of those are consistently met. So definitely appreciate that response.
One of the other things which I would like to do is I would love to have the opportunity to interact with physicians in training and other early career physicians as much as I can. So during the last annual meeting in October in San Antonio, I believe I may have been the first ASA president to go to the resident House of Delegates. Great opportunity to do that, and I appreciate that. Also, last year, I went, again, the first time that an ASA officer has been to one of the large resident conferences in anesthesia. I had the opportunity to attend one of them, the Midwest Anesthesia Resident Conference. And it was a great experience to interact with trainees. And that's something that ASA we're going to hope to continue to do in the future. But if there are other opportunities for ASA officers, myself, or the other members of the Administrative Council to attend resident events and meet with residents or other physicians in training, we'd love the opportunity to do that.
All right. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Guillaume, for sharing your vision and expertise. I also appreciate my fellow residents. It was a wonderful opportunity to be able to speak with everyone today. And of course, our listeners. We hope you'll come back soon for more Residents in a Room, the podcast for residents by residents.
And thanks for having me here. Thank you to all of you for making this happen. Really enjoyed being here with all of you today. And I wish all of the resident physician listeners out there a continued successful educational experience. And don't hesitate to reach out to me or our ASA folks if we can help you in any way. Hello, ASA. I'm Dr. Patrick Guillaume, your ASA president, and this is the Monday Morning Minute with recent highlights from the Monday Morning Outreach. First up, Elevance and Penalties. ASA, the American College of Emergency Physicians, and the American College of Radiology convened a meeting with Elevance to push back on its proposal to impose a penalty on facilities working with out-of-network clinicians. We urged Elevance to abandon policies that pressure physicians into network participation and instead engage on patient-centered solutions. Next, ASA has published a couple of revised statements, one on anesthesiologist-led care and another on the physical status classification system. They're both on our website and in ASA's new Anesthesiology Open Journal. And lastly, through January 15th, we're accepting applications for 2027 committees and editorial boards. I encourage all members, including residents and medical students, to apply and get involved in ASA. Well, I think that's enough for now. So, thanks for listening, and I hope you'll follow us on your favorite social media channels and check out my weekly Monday Morning Outreach. Until next time, this is Dr. Patrick Guillaume.
For more detailed and timely information, don't miss Dr. Guillaume's Monday Morning Outreach email, delivered exclusively to ASA members' inboxes every Monday at 5 a.m. Eastern. As a driving force behind safe, quality patient care, you demonstrate extraordinary skill, compassion, and dedication every day. And you're even stronger when backed by your powerful anesthesia community. ASA membership connects you to thousands of established and emerging leaders who understand your challenges, align with your commitment, and amplify your voice. Our collective impact makes an important difference in your own practice while giving you the opportunity to shape the future of perioperative care. Enjoy your full range of member benefits at asahq.org/benefits. Join us for Residents in a Room, where we'll share timely info, advice, and resources designed to help residents succeed in residency and beyond. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or visit asahq.org/podcasts for more.